Everybody, I'm so excited. So I'm probably gonna wait maybe I don't know, like maybe like 5 minutes before I start. But I'm super excited to be on Periscope tonight. So happy that I get to have this conversation because literally this is probably the most common conversation I have with so many people. Hey girl, hey. Hi, thank you so much. I know I did a twist out with and I put the perm rods on the end, so this is how it came out. So thank you guys. Um, but yeah, I'm probably gonna wait maybe like 5 minutes so that as many people as possible can join. Thank you. Hey, I was saying I literally have. Thank you. I have this conversation about taking a leap of faith and following your dreams. This is probably the most common conversation I have. It's the most common DM I get, the most common email I get. Even when I'm talking to my friends or just people in passing, when they found out what I do, this is the main topic of discussion is, how did you go through that transition? What, were you afraid? What made you finally be like, I'm going to do this? What factors do you think I should think about? Just, people are just looking for that type of insight. And I think one of the things that God has blessed me with tremendously is being able to live that out, and that is my truth, but also be able to communicate it in a way that people get it and that it resonates with people. And so um, I'm just happy to have this conversation. And I see you said you're currently struggling with taking that leap of faith. Like I said, I was there. And it's funny because I just had a conversation with somebody this morning, actually, who was in that situation where they were in a dead end job. They were ready for something different and they were just frustrated and they needed some kind of help and direction to kind of connect the dots. And so, what I'm going to do is kind of start off with my story, like a little bit of what's the space that I was in, and then kind of open it up for questions and answers. And of course, you guys can chime in at any time with questions. Hopefully, too many questions don't come in at one time because the tab where all the comments come up, it doesn't stay for a long time, so I don't want to miss people's questions. So uh thank you so much for signing up just to talk to me. Yes, thank you guys so much. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start to share my testimony and my story. So some of you may know my story, people may know bits and pieces of my story, but essentially back in 2012, actually, I that was my 25th year of life. So my birthday is October 1st, and so in 2012, it was like as soon as 2012 came, it was like something inside of me was just like like it was like the switch went off. It was just like you not doing what you're supposed to be doing. It's like, you're not you're not doing what God put you on earth to do. And I felt it strong. And it got to the point to where I was going to work, and I'll say this, I had a good job. Like I didn't have a dead end job. Like it was fun, but I just knew it wasn't what I was supposed to be doing. And I knew that there was somebody out there who could do that job way better. I knew that I just wanted something more, and it almost got physically painful to go to work, and I was very frustrated. Like I used to come home and I would record myself on my computer and I would record my frustrations after like 10-hour work days, just like I have a potty mouth, so sorry. But I would essentially be cussing myself out because it's like, why the fuck haven't you figured this out? Like this sucks, like you haven't done anything, like just really, really beating myself up because I was just in the space that I didn't want to be in. You know what I mean? And it literally hurt to go to work. Like there were times where like I couldn't move and I had to get sent home because I was just, I don't know, I guess it was a state of depression that I really didn't recognize it as depression. And because I don't think I've ever really experienced depression. I don't think a lot of us really know what depression looks like and feels like. But now that I'm looking back, I was depressed, and I and it's just way beyond frustration. And I don't think, until you're in that, right, stuck in your head, right, you're just stuck in your head. And until you've been in that position, it's hard to really explain it to people. And so for me, that whole year, I was just going through it, and I was very unhappy. And I've always been a generally positive person, and so I just didn't really like that space. And so at the time, like, the guy that I was dating at the time, like, earlier in that year, like, I was just sharing my experience and sharing just how frustrated I was, sharing how I wanted more, sharing how I wasn't necessarily looking to get rich. I just wanted to start the journey of what I was supposed to be doing. Like, I'm not trying to be a millionaire today, but I just want to go ahead and start this path, and I was just sharing that with a lot of people that were close to me. And so for when my 25th birthday came around, October 1st, I was gifted with a trip to Maui. Me and a good one of my girlfriends went to Maui, and I was down there. And essentially, before I went, I told the guy that I was dating, I was like, if I'm here for my birthday, I'm going to have a mental breakdown. Like, I'm going to break down. Like, there's just, I don't know if I'm going to make it, Yeah, this is my real hair. And hey, I live in Philly too. But I knew, I was like, if I'm here for my 25th birthday, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I'm going to break down, and I'm probably going to cuss everybody out. Like, I just can't fucking be here. And so for my birthday, like I said, I was gifted with a trip to Maui. And while I was down there, I prayed to God. I was like, God, please reveal to me my purpose. Like, please, I promise I'll run 100 miles per hour towards it. And like, this was the most diligent prayer that I've ever said. You know what I mean? Like, I'm very spiritual. I go to church. Like, I've been praying my whole life. But this was probably one of the most sincere prayers that I've ever said, because I was just so ready, like, so ready for something else. And so when I got back from Maui, I put in my notice at work, and I didn't have a clue what I was going to do. I didn't know. But, I was just like, you know what? This is my signal to the universe that I'm ready. This is my indication to God and the universe to start conspiring, because what I'm doing right now ain't gonna cut it. Like, this not gonna cut it, And so, at that point, a lot of times people ask me, like, were you afraid? Like, you didn't know what you were gonna do. And honestly, my sense of urgency for wanting something else was way greater than the fear of taking that leap of faith. And I think that's kind of what has to happen in your specific situation. Like, your need for something else has to be greater than the fear. Because honestly, I didn't think twice. I didn't flinch. And somebody said the what if questions that scare you. So so I'm just going to stop my story a little bit and kind of talk about the what if. So what I tell people is, when you want to take that leap of faith, ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? Like, what's the worst that could happen? And so for me, in my situation, I'm like, the worst that could happen is I'm broke as hell. I got to move in with my parents, and I got to swallow my pride, and I fail, and I probably got to get an in-between job before I can get back on my career path. Woo. That's the worst that can happen. I can probably get behind on my bills for a couple months or whatever it is, but it's like, that's the worst that can happen. You know what I mean? Just really think about what it is that you're trying to do, whether it be quitting your job, going back to school, trying to buy a house, whatever it is. To think about what's the worst that could possibly happen. Are you going to die? If you ain't going to die, like, it's not that bad. You know what I mean? If you know that if something goes wrong and you got to suck it up and ask people for help, or you got to swallow your pride and, work a gig that you don't want to work. But it's like, that's the worst that could happen. You're going to go the rest of your life and not try nothing? You're not going to try at all? That's unacceptable. Like, that's not how you should live your life, because you don't want to be in that space. Why? Okay, I don't know what these, but anyway, so that's kind of what I tell people in terms of the what if something happens. And in terms of like taking a leap of faith is not just, quitting your job. It could be anything. It could be anything that is going to require you to jump into the unknown, right? And it's going to require you to just be ready for anything. And so back to my story. So, I put in my notice, and luckily for me, like, I put in a 3-month notice. So it wasn't 2 weeks. Like, I wasn't, about to jump ship in 2 weeks. But it was a 3-month notice, and my previous role, I was an event and marketing manager. And so essentially what that means is I was coordinating a lot of high profile events. I was living in California. I stayed on the top floor of my building, right above Whole Foods, palm trees outside my door, like making good money, shopping it up, like living the life. Like, it was a good life, but I was just like, nah. And so because I was an event and marketing manager, the biggest time or the biggest season for that is the holiday season, because that's when you're coordinating the most events. And luckily for me, I got paid a base and I got paid a commission. So that Christmas holiday, I hustled my ass off to book as many events as I possibly could. And I know a lot of people can tell you who I work with, like, they got tired of me because I was booking maybe 3 to 4 or 5 events a day. Like, I was running people rugged, because I wanted to make the company that I was working for money, but I knew that I was quitting. So I knew I had to buckle up and bust my ass, because you can take a leap of faith, but it definitely does need to be somewhat calculated, right? And I wanted to make as much money as I possibly could before I left. And so, which I did. And I think, like, I don't even know if they've hit my numbers yet. I still don't think they hit my numbers from that Christmas break, and it's been over 4 years. I think I did that year alone. I think I did close to $700,000 in sales in events alone. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. And so it finally got time to quit January 15, 2013. And I will say that once I put in my notice, I skipped to work. Like, it's when you see the light at the end of the tunnel, it's cool. You can go to work. And I was skipping. I was hopping to work because I knew I wasn't going to be there that much longer, But January 15th, 2013 finally came around, and that was my last day. And I will tell you, like, I don't know if I've ever been on such a high in my life. Like, if you talk to anybody who's ever quit their job, it's like, I can't even describe the feeling. Like, those first 2 weeks were like, I wish I could bottle up what that felt like and sell it so people could feel what it's like to just be totally free, like to be free from, and know that it was your decision, it was like, yes, it's euphoric. It's like nothing that any drug could ever give you. And so, ironically, tickets back to Maui were $250 round trip, right? And so I was like, you know what, let me go back to the place that kind of inspired me to, quit and kind of step out, right? So went back to Maui and was on my Eat, Pray, Love and meditating and all that kind of good stuff, right? And when I was in this bamboo forest on the road to Hana, I'm not too sure if you're familiar with Maui. Somebody said, what did you quit? I quit my job. I was an event and marketing manager. Hi. And so anyway, so I went back to Maui and was on my Eat, Pray, Love, and I was praying, and God was like, you need to figure out how to do this. And I was like, this? Like, what is this? Like, and I know this may sound like it's something out of a movie, but I promise you guys, this is exactly how it happened. But anyway, so I'm in this bamboo forest, and God was like, you need to figure out how to do this. And I was like, this? Like, what is this? It's like, you need to figure out how to inspire people through your experiences. And I was like, I started to think about my life. And I was like, you know what? It's not a coincidence that I started flying by myself at 5. My dad raised me in Atlanta, but my mom lived in DC. So from 5 until I was 18, I was back and forth on an airplane maybe once or twice a month. So I've never known a life without travel. And I say that in a sense of, there was a certain level of fearlessness that has always been ingrained in me, and it's been second nature, And I also thought about, my parents had me, yes, I'm a Christian. My parents had me at 36 and 37. And so as you can imagine where you will be in your life when you're that age, like I was afforded so many experiences that so many people my age, even adults, had never gotten to experience. And I've always been very grateful for that. And it's like at that moment when I was kind of going through this aha moment, I recognized that as a privilege, to be able to fly and to be able to travel and experience what I experienced at such a young age, it's a privilege. And it was like I almost felt a sense of guilt. Like, why was I able to have these experiences when so many people don't? And I was like, you know what? I'm going to use this privilege or use my experiences to help people, because I know I have a unique perspective and I know I have a level of fearlessness where I can lead people to whatever life that they want to have. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to be an inspirational explorer. I made the title up right then and there. Didn't really know what that really meant, but I was like, I'm going to be an inspirational explorer. And I'm going to use my experiences to inspire people in whatever capacity that I can. And so I came back from Maui and I was back in California. And so the next week of events are like, I know it may sound like it's out of a movie, but I promise you this is how everything happened. So I came back and I went to church in LA. And I don't know if you guys live in LA, it's a church called One Church LA. And the sermon that day was, you have to sacrifice for your amazing. There's no way you're going to get to your amazing without any sacrifice. And I was like, Dad, I just came back from Maui. I got an idea what I want to do. And I was like, after that church sermon, I was like, this is it. Like, I'm really about to do this. I went back to the Bay Area. I broke my lease. I packed up all my shit. I moved into my friend's basement. My two homeboys that I work with at my previous job. And I was like, I don't know how often I'm going to be in town. I don't know when I'm going to be back. I need for you guys to hold me down. And when I'm here, I need a place to crash. And I'm probably going to need something to eat because I'm probably going to have no money, And they didn't really know what I was doing. They didn't know what my plans were. But they were my legit friends. And they were down to help out, Because I think at that point in time, like, I really couldn't explain to people what I was trying to do because I still didn't even really have a clear understanding of what it was that I was trying to do either. And so after I broke the lease, moved all my stuff, I went down to LA. And at this point, I was living on one of my best friend's couch. Her name is Victoria. Picture this, Vic. I don't know if you guys follow her, but if you don't, follow her. But anyway, so I was living on her couch and I happened to go to a networking event and ran into a life coach. And I was like, you know what? I have an idea of what I want to do. I just don't really know what that means I need to do tomorrow. Like, I'm very much a visionary person, right? I'm not a systematic, operational person at all. And so I was talking to him and he was like, I also said, I just quit my job, so I don't have any money to pay you. And essentially he said, a lot of people say they want to change their life, but they don't want to put forth the work. I'll much rather you not waste my time than pay me. And I was like, I don't have no choice. I just quit my job. So I need to figure this thing out. At least I need to get on this path to figure this out. So we ended up meeting maybe like 2 or 3 days later. And essentially what the conversation boiled down to was, Lauren, you are what it is that you say you want to be already. The world just doesn't know it. You're not trying to be anything that you're not. You know what I mean? You're not trying to put on a persona. You are this. And so you need to start branding yourself as that. It's like you need to introduce the world to that. And he kind of gave me a list of things like start a website, start a platform, get your name out there, try to find gigs in terms of what you can do to kind of sustain this while you're building your brand. And literally we met one time. I didn't need to meet with him ever again. You know what I mean? And I just needed to know how to get out there. And so that night I started Can't Stay Put. I bought the domain name, started the website, and I was like, and the name Can't Stay Put came from, hold on. I keep on forgetting how to block. Okay, did it. Anyway, so I came up with the name Can't Stay Put because all of my friends had described me as somebody who couldn't stay put in all areas of my life. And I think, some of you may realize that Can't Stay Put is really not about the travel part. It's really I just use travel as a conduit to spread this gospel of making moves to create the life you want. Hence, can't stay put. Um, but anyway, so I started the website that night, and I was like, you know what, I have to do something big to kind of introduce this concept or introduce what I'm trying to do to the world. And so I was like, you know, I got to go on my first official can't stay put trip, right? And this is while I'm living on my friend's couch. I was like, I'm going to go to Southeast Asia. She was like, you don't have no money and you don't have no job. And I was like, I don't know, but I got to figure this out. I changed the screensaver on my computer, on my phone, everything to Southeast Asia. And I was like, I have to be engulfed in this. And it was like I was working on a project. For the first time, I was working on something that I didn't know was going to work. And I think that's one of the things as young people we struggle with. We don't like to do things if it's not a guarantee. We don't like to, you know, if we don't know something's going to work, we don't want to bother with it. But for me, this was the first time I had worked on something and didn't know if I was going to pull it off, you know? And I put together a proposal. Like, I wrote out the mission of what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go, and what I was trying to accomplish, and that I was starting this brand. And, you know, I started sending this out because I needed to raise money. Because, like I said, I didn't have no money. I ain't had no job. And I needed help or funding to launch this, right? So I sent this out to, I don't even know how many people, so many people, emails. Like, I was scouring the internet trying to find different people who would, you know, want to be a part of that. Tons of people didn't respond to my emails. Tons of people were like, hell no. Tons of people were like, oh, it sounds like you're trying to run away from your life. Other people were like, I'll buy you a book on Southeast Asia. Like, and in my honest opinion, a lot of those people were dream killers, you know? But at the same time, I needed that because it also served it as, you know, how bad do you really want this? You know what I mean? Because a part of the journey is going through shit. A part of it is, my hair is real. I know you keep on asking me if my hair is real. Yes, it's real. But anyway, so it's like I needed those people to doubt me. I needed those people to, you know, tell me no. Because I'm just like, am I tripping? I was like, no. And the thing about it was, I would tell people, like, I know I don't have all the answers. I don't know how I'm about to make money. I don't even know if this is a viable business. I just know I have something inside of me that I know can help people. I know that I have something that can serve others. You know what I mean? I know that I have it in me. And I don't have all the answers. I don't know how I'm going to make money, but I need for somebody to believe in me and know that I'm not going to quit this. Like, and for people that know me and know me previously from Can't Stay Put, I'm not no hunky-dory, half-ass type of person. So if I felt the need to quit my job, then I'm game. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not one of those types of people. And so I would send this out and I would talk to people. I was just like, you know, like, I know I can make something of this. I know I can build this brand. I really don't know what direction this is going to go in, but I know I have to be engulfed in it to figure it out. And that's another thing. It's like sometimes you have to be on the journey. You have to take that leap of faith and figure it out while you're on the journey, because you're not going to get all the answers beforehand. You're just not. Exactly. Your passion must be more important than the money. It has to be honest, because if it was about the money, I would have quit a long time ago. And it's never, for me, it's never been about the money. And the thing about it is, when it's not about the money, that's how you know God gonna carry you. He gonna make sure you're cool, because if you're doing something that's bigger than you and you're trying to serve, He gonna take care of you. You may not have all the fancy stuff that you used to have, but you're gonna have everything you need. And it may be days where you're like, yo, I don't know how I'm gonna eat, but please believe you're gonna get fed some type of way, you know? But anyway, so I went through this whole process of, you know, trying to raise the money, trying to, you know, get this project off the ground. And meanwhile, I am living on my friend's couch in LA. And at the time, like, she's now an entrepreneur as well, but at the time she was still working. And literally, like, she had to keep me fed. Like, I didn't have much money to eat. I didn't have, you know what I mean? And that was the first time I really had to rely on others. Like, you have your friends and you love your friends and your friends are there for you, but sometimes you don't really have to test that friendship. You know what I mean? Like, you don't really have to. Yes, I have student loans, and my student loans are governmental loans, so I don't worry about them. Defer, 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 defer. Thankfully, I didn't have any private loans. But anyway, back to the friendship part. So it's like, you have good friends, and they'll do things for you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. But until you really need your friends, you don't really know to the extent of what your friendship really is founded on, right? And so I was really able to see who really, really rocked with me, you know what I mean? And like Victoria knows, like, I will always be indebted to her because she not only opened her own, she made sure I could eat, and she helped me like brand, like, to start everything, you know what I mean? And she believed. But anyway, so at the time, it was like the point of the first Can't Say Put experience was to travel to Southeast Asia for 30 days and to document how to travel on $30 a day, right? So that was the mission. This is what I was pitching to people. And like I said, I got tons of no's. People weren't really rocking with the idea. And then I finally had a meeting with somebody who I had met in my previous job. I did an event for their company. And I basically pitched what I was trying to do. And they said, Lauren, I don't know what you're really trying to do. I don't really understand it, but I believe you. Like, I know you're not going to quit this. Like, and I know you're going to figure this out. And I want to be one of the people that believed in you from the very beginning. They gave me $2,500. Like, I literally, like, bawled because so many people had said no. So many people were like, why are you quitting your job? So many people were just like, just so much stuff that I got, you know what I mean? Like, you're crazy. And like, for somebody to be like, yeah, I was just like, whoa, like, all you need is one yes, you know what I mean? Like, just one yes. And I'm trying not to get all like, emotional and stuff, but it was a very emotional situation because I was just like, holy crap, but anyway, so thank you. And so at the same time, because this was the first official Can't Say Put trip, I needed to take somebody with me to document, right? And because I was going to be gone for a month, it was like I wasn't established, so there wasn't any established photographer who was going to go for a month because I didn't have any money to pay them. Like, I was raising enough money to take care of our funds, but I didn't have any money to pay them on top of that. And it's like, what established photographer is going to work with somebody who's just starting out and can't pay me? I don't really know what they're doing. And so I had a friend that I went to high school with who minored in photography in college. And so when I was first putting this project together, I was like, you know what, I need somebody to document for me. And I was like, I'm going to raise enough money to cover your expenses, but I can't afford to pay you. But we're going to be gone for a month. And so this person was in New York at the time. He passed up 3 jobs because he believed that I was going to get this project, off the ground. And for me, I had never had anybody believe in me that much to pass up 3 jobs. And so imagine what he had to go through with his family, and he's in between jobs, and they're like, you're not going to take this job because you think this girl got a pipe dream and you think she's going to pull it together. And he believed that I was going to pull it together, and I did. Like, I ended up raising close to $8,000. And like I said before, it's like all you need is one person, right? So once you have one person that believes in you, that's not a family member or that's like not a friend, it's not hard to get other people to buy into it because, you pitch to somebody and they believe. And so we went on that trip May 17th of 2013, and that was the very first official Can't Say Put trip, right? And documented, created content, and that was kind of like the official launch of what I was doing. And so what ended up happening was, throughout this process, I've just been very transparent about what, taking that leap of faith is about, what following your dreams is like, how you have to remain faithful. And so over time, Can't Say Put has evolved from solely being about travel to lifestyle. It's like, what moves are you creating to create the life that you want? You know, what moves are you making to create the life that you want? Like, if you're not happy, please don't stay put. Like, if you're not rocking with somebody, don't stay put. Like, if you want a new job, like, what moves are you making? Like, Can't Stay Put is all about movement and getting to where you're trying to go. But in terms of, you know, even once I got back from the very first Can't Stay Put trip, people were like, oh, you on now? Like, you got it. Like, I was broke as hell when I got back. Didn't have any money still, because just because I did the project and I launched didn't necessarily mean that I had figured out the business side of it, because it wasn't a business. And so what I will say about me is, you know, most people who have businesses and brands, they build their business and brand simultaneously. Whereas for me, I built the Can't Stay Put brand, and now I'm building the business behind the brand, because I had to be engulfed in building my brand to figure out, what will people pay me for? Like, what am I good at within this realm of what I've created, right? And so once I got back from the very first Can't Stay Put trip, I still didn't know what I was going to do to make any money, but I knew I had to continue to build the brand. I needed to continue to brand myself as somebody who had authority over what I'm trying to sell to people. Right, exactly. And that's what I had to figure out. What did people want from me, and what were people willing to pay for, right? But you have to kind of be engulfed in that. So there are things like, you know, am I going to rate hotels? Am I going to be a travel writer? Am I going to do consulting? You know, trying to figure out what your niche is, because, you know, I don't want to be everything to all people. You know what I mean? Like, I know I have specific gifts and qualities, but I had to carve that out by being on the journey. So with that being said, even once I got back from the very first official Can't Stay Put trip, I was still having to work gigs here and there, still didn't have any money, like trying to figure out, you know, how to continue this going. And another thing was, you know, if you're building a brand called Can't Stay Put, you literally can't stay put, because you have to live, eat, sleep your brand, right? So I was hustling, trying to go as many places as possible. And a lot of it didn't have any rhyme or reason, but I'm like, I can't stay put. Like, this is a part of building the brand. Do you have sponsorship? I do now get some sponsorships for businesses. But anyway, so, you know, there have been times along the journey where I didn't have no money to eat, and, you know, the next day I would wake up and somebody had, you know, deposit $20 into my account. There have been times where I've had meetings with people and I didn't have any money to get back home on public transportation. I remember one time I had a meeting with somebody who was working on my business plan, and they didn't know, but I had just enough money to ride the train to meet with them, but I didn't have enough money to ride the train back to my friend's house. And it was so crazy, because he was like, Lauren, how you gonna get home? Like, I'm just thinking this whole time, right? You know, like, how you gonna get home? And would you know, like, while we're wrapping up, the guy, my business writer, was like, do you need a ride home? And I was just like, like, you have not, like, I started crying again, because it's like, he had no idea that I had no money. He had no idea that, like, I was really going to have to figure out how to jump the gate or something like that, because I really didn't know how I was going to get home. You know what I mean? Like, and so for him to just offer, I was just like, yo, you know, God is real, because he will make a way out of no way. And I have so many stories like that. You know what I mean? Like, so many stories where it's just like, yo, you really got me. Like, you really, really got me, you know? But, you know, for some of the things that you have to deal with are, you know, there are going to be so many people that don't believe in you, right? There are going to be so many people that are going to be dream killers. And sometimes I don't even know that they're dream killers. And it could be your significant other. It could be your mom. It could be your dad. It could be your best friend. And a dream killer could say something like, well, how you going to make money? That alone could kill somebody's dream. I'm not focused on the money. And at the end of the day, like, if I'm struggling, then, you know, I think about the fact that I have no money. So the fact that you asking me how you going to make money, like, get the fuck out of my face. You know what I mean? Like, why are you discouraging me? You know what I mean? Or like, if somebody will say, you know, well, you know, just different things, or like, well, what if it doesn't work? Or like, why are you asking me what if it doesn't work? Like, why are you even planting those types of thoughts and those types of seeds? You know what I mean? And you also have to think about, there are people who will shade you. You know what I mean? And will kind of send you energy, and you don't understand why they kind of sending me, sending you like a certain type of energy. And what happens is there are certain people that you will be around, and you begin to become a reflection of what they're not. And that has nothing to do with you. You know what I mean? What ends up happening is you represent a level of fearlessness that they don't have and they wish that they had. And so they may be sending you negative energy, but it's because they don't want to accept that they were too afraid to follow their dreams. You know what I mean? And you are a reflection of somebody who was fearless enough to step out. Yeah, let me just block you because you tripping. But anyway, so I'm trying to think of other things like, I had a conversation. I had a conversation this morning with somebody who was kind of in a frustrating position, and they had an idea of what they wanted to do, and they felt like they needed money, right? I was like, well, do you have your plan written out yet? Like, what if I could give you $1,000 today? Like, could you email me something over? And they were like, no. And I was like, well, how prepared are you really to take whatever it is that you're trying to do to the next level? Please believe there's always something that you can be doing to create the life that you want that has nothing to do with money. You know what I mean? Like, you could be having informational interviews with people that do something similar to what you want to do. You could be going to the library every day after work and reading and researching about something. You could be like, it could be anything. You don't have to, and I tell people all the time, like, your leap of faith or you starting to walk in your purpose doesn't have to be a total 180, you quitting your job. It can be something gradual, but it's like, what are you doing every single day to create the life that you want? What are you committed to? And that's another thing that when I tell people, it's just like, okay, people say they want a lot of things, you know what I mean? Like, they want a lot out of their life, but it's like, what are you willing to really do for that? You know what I mean? Like, what are you willing to give up? And it's like, people have all these elaborate dreams, and I believe that you can have whatever you want, but I'm like, you're not going to get it with that attitude. Like, you care about people judging you. You definitely not going to do nothing out here if you care about, exactly. Sacrifice is key. And like, I don't expect, like, your sacrifice is not going to look like mine. Everybody's not going to have to give up their apartment and be homeless for 3 years. You know what I mean? Like, that may not be your sacrifice, but it was something that I had to do for what it was that I was trying to do. You know what I mean? Another sacrifice is you're going to lose friends. You're going to lose a whole lot of friends. You know what I mean? Exactly. Just start somewhere. Like, and it's not necessarily because these people don't support you, but it's because they no longer relate to you. They don't relate to somebody who doesn't watch TV anymore because you're so focused. They don't relate to somebody who works on the weekends. They don't relate to somebody who is happy to get back to their computer because they just want to work. They can't relate to somebody who it doesn't matter how much money I have in my account, I still wake up with purpose, so I don't even care. You know what I mean? Like, so when you, and naturally that alienates yourself from other people. Exactly. People will walk out your life and God will replace them. That is very true. And what I will say is, there's no way I could have been out here without having any type of faith. You know what I mean? And I say this all the time. A lot of people say, walk by faith and not by sight, right? But most people never have to really, truly live that. Most people don't. Most people don't ever know what it's truly, truly like to walk by faith and not by sight. Nobody has to really test that. You know what I mean? And in my experience, like, I've had no choice but to test that. And it's real. Like, you will be taken care of, but it's like, it's a very scary feeling. But if you have to remain faithful. You know what I mean? Like, I have a story. Some of you may know this. I don't know. It depends on how long you've been following my journey, but I went to, awesome, congratulations, thank you. One of the situations happened to me when I got back from India in 2015. Somebody stole all of my stuff. Like, they stole my whole book bag. So for me, like, my virtual office, that's my everything. Like, I don't need anything but my computer, external hard drive, camera, book bag. So everything that's worth any value to me can be carried. Can be carried in my book bag. And so when I got back from India, somebody stole my book bag, and I was like distraught, right? Because I was just like, I didn't understand. I was just like, God, like, I'm just out here trying to serve you, your people. Like, I'm trying to help other people. Like, why would you allow this to happen to me? Like, I don't have any money to replace this stuff. Like, I was so hurt, y'all. Like, I was so hurt, was crushed. And what ended up happening was, like, this was like in February. So like the last day of February, I was like, you know what, God, like, I can't take this into a new month. It's like, I'm an inspirational explorer. I have to set the tone. You know what I mean? Like, I can't let something like this keep me from continuing on, right? So on the last day of February, I gave it all to God. I was like, you know what? Because at the end of the day, you allowed this to happen to me for whatever reason. You know what I mean? And so, would you know, I gave it all up the last day of February, right? I woke up on March 1st to 2 emails from 2 separate people pledging to give me $500 to replace my stuff. I was like, yo, I know God works, but I didn't know you worked that fast. Like, I just let it go last night. And I woke up the next morning, and two people I had never met before in my life were like, I've been following your journey. I want you to continue going. I want to give you $5. I was like, not $100, like $500. I'm a complete stranger to these people. You know what I mean? Like I was in tears. I'm just like, yo, like, God, I just prayed last night. You know what I mean? Like, this is amazing. And would you know, so that happened on March 1st. March 3rd, I got an email from my old job saying that I had a check that I never got. Are you kidding me? I quit years ago, and you trying to tell me that there's a check that I never got. And this happens to be at the time where I just got all my stuff stolen. When I tell y'all, God is faithful and He gonna take care of you, He gonna take care of you. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy. And then a couple days after that, right, the police department called me and said, we didn't find your computer or your camera, but your external hard drive is here. And I was just like, and anybody that knows that, you can replace a computer, you can get another camera, but like your external hard drive is like everything. And the fact that they found my external hard drive, I was just like, this is all in a matter of a week, y'all. This is people pledged to give me $1,000. People pledged, like, I had a check that I never got. Then I had my external hard drive back. Yo, like, I tell you, like, that was one of the most phenomenal, like, weeks I ever had. I was just like, yo, God is awesome. You know what I mean? But the thing is, I wasn't expecting that. I had to be willing to really just let this go and be like, you know what? I'm going to get past this. You know what I mean? And I did. And I think, like somebody said before, it's like God is always going to send tests your way. Because at the end of the day, I feel like God wants to grant you the life that you want. But it's like, not if you lazy, not if you're not faithful. It's like, how committed are you to this? Like, why do you deserve what it is that you want? You know what I mean? Like, are you worthy of that? And I think these tests come all the time. And to test, like, your faithfulness, like, are you gonna quit? A lot of us, if something doesn't pop off in 6 months, we done with it. And I'm like, you really think success don't come in 6 months? No. You know what I mean? So, those are just different stories along my journey. And, there's just been so many different experiences that I've had where it's just like, yo, like, I know that I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm homeless. I've lived in a hotel. I've been there. You know what I mean? Like, you got to do what you got to do. And I think at the end of the day, it's like, it's all a part of your story. You know what I mean? It's like, what is your legacy? And it's like this time frame, or the time frame where I was homeless or I was just like, I always looked at it like, this is temporary. This is not going to be forever. Like, I'm going to be on at some point, but it's like, I have to be willing to go through the trenches. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be willing to go through that. And it's like, we kind of live in a society where we always tend to gratify things, once people make it, it's like, but what about the 7 years it took to make it? You know what I mean? Like, everybody wants to be an overnight success, and it takes years to be an overnight success. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of my story. And so there's a lot more intricate things in terms of the story, but I just want to open it up to question and answer. If you guys have any specific questions about, where you are in your life, like what to prepare for, some things that you may experience, anything like that. So how do you follow God? What is my business? So I run a lifestyle brand in business. And so I do a lot of things I do life coaching, I do content creation. I'm going through that now. So yes, so I know a lot of people may be you may be in a space of frustration and you want something more. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, start to do things that bring you a sense of happiness. So these are for the people that you may not know what it is that you want to do yet, right? You just know that what you're doing right now is not it. And it's like, okay, what things are you doing in your life right now that bring you joy? You know what I mean? Like, if you ask a lot of adults what their hobbies are, they don't know. Like, people don't know what they like to do. Like, where did you get your degree? I went to Howard University. I majored in biology and I minored in chemistry. I wanted to be a doctor back in the day. But yeah, like I would say, start to do things that bring you joy, because a lot of times, like, in order to figure out what it is that you want to do, you have to start doing stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just going to fall in your lap. And it's like, I had to be out in the world to get that aha moment. Like, I was doing what it was that God wanted me to do, and he just kind of brought the whole picture together. I don't think I would have had my aha moment if I was sitting at home on the couch. You know what I mean? The topic of discussion is taking the leap of faith. Are you starting your own group tours? I'm not starting group tours, but I will, because that's a whole feat in itself, right? But I will start to do meetups and like meetups of experiences in different places, on a local, national level as well. Having trouble writing content for a website, what to do? I don't know if that is personal. Is that really for me? I don't know. But I am working on figuring out I'm working on building the Can't Say Put community, right? Because I feel as though there are a lot of people that identify with my story. There are a lot of people that are in this space. How did you get out of depression that you talked about? Seeking to overcome my fear. And like, the depression left when I became fearless enough to put in my notice at work. And so for me, it was like, I got I was fearful of, I guess, the unknown, like afraid of what quitting my job could be like. So that fear, I was able to suppress that because I didn't want to be depressed anymore. I wanted something new. I wanted to be in a different space. Am I talking about religious leap of faith or your own ability? I think that it's a combination of both. Like, I think taking a leap of faith in my own ability, like, yes, believing that I'm able to do it, but I feel like that's backed up because God got me, if that makes sense. So yeah. But I'll also say this about people who are yearning for their purpose and, trying to be on another path, is we're all on our own separate timeline. You cannot compare the timeline of your life to anybody else's, right? Because up until the time I quit my job, I needed to have every experience that I had up until that point, because I used everything that I had. I used all the experiences I had today. So I felt as though my purpose wasn't going to come to me any sooner than what it did, because I needed to work. I needed to work at that particular position, because that is in fact how I met the person who gave me the $2,500. Like, I needed to know how to put together a proposal. I needed to know how to do branding. Like, so you don't get frustrated because you haven't figured out what your it is, because we're all in our own timeline. Your aha moment may come at 31, it may come at 25, it may come at 40, or whatever it is. But make sure that wherever you progress, whatever you're doing, make sure you're doing things that are leading you to the life that you want. So you shouldn't be taking a job that doesn't bring you any type of joy. You shouldn't be taking a job that is not going to give you the skill sets that you want to have. Like, there's no reason to be making any unilateral choices anymore. You know what I mean? So just because you don't know what you want to do, you still need to be pursuing jobs or doing things that's going to take you in that direction. You know what I mean? So that's just something to keep note of, because I know a lot of people will say, like, well, I haven't figured it out yet. And it's fine. It's okay not to know. You know what I mean? But definitely be in the pursuit of knowing. You know what I mean? And know that it's okay. Because I'm like, your aha moment may come later. And it's okay. Like, it's okay. And you can't be that hard on yourself. So, like, for instance, like, sometimes I'll go back and I'll watch the videos that I used to, I'll watch the videos that I used to record myself when I'm complaining and, like, damn near about to cry. And it's just like, I want to hug that person. Because she had no idea that her aha moment was coming 6 or 7 months later. You know what I mean? She was just so frustrated. So somebody asked, what types of things, how can you network? How can you work a room? Be confident in who you are. I think that confidence is definitely key. I think the more experiences you have, the easier it is to network. So a rule of thumb for me is, like, I've always been somebody who can kind of walk up and talk to anybody, right? But the more experiences I have, the more I'm able to relate to people. So if somebody says that, they like museums or something like that, it's like, I've been to enough museums to be able to have a conversation about that. So it's like, I talk to people, get a feel for who they are, and try to find how I can connect. What experiences have I had that connects to their story, that connects to where they're from, so we can have a genuine connection. Somebody said, I have so many ideas but don't know how to pitch them. Do you accept freelance work for Can't Say Put? It depends on what it is. Send me an email or shoot me a DM, or, like, message me under one of my pictures what it is that you have in mind. But in terms of, somebody just said you have a difficult time pitching your ideas. Is it difficult because you don't really know how to organize your thoughts, or you don't know who you're pitching to, or what? And the thing about it, I think in terms of pitching, like, I think you just have to overcome the fact that some people may not rock with your idea, and it's okay. A lot of people won't, you know what I mean? But that doesn't mean that you stop pitching yourself and putting yourself out there. Does anybody have any other questions? It is. Yes, you have. Any other questions? Anything? How often do you set your goals? Are you a certified life coach? Okay. Wait, guys. Okay. Sorry. I guess I need to figure out a better way to handle the question part. Thank you for somebody who just said, I'm expiring. 2, how do I set goals? I set them by the year, then I set them by the month, and by the week. In terms of organizing my goals, I prioritize them. And what I do is, like, I break them up into personal and professional goals, right? And I've shared this on my Snapchat and on Instagram stories, but, like, I got this cool tip from a girl that I've been following. Her IG name is Lex_Topia, but she writes out her yearly goals every single day. And I've adopted that strategy because it keeps you focused. And it's just like, if you have written out your goals for the year, everything that you're doing every single day should be a task or a subset of what your major goals are for the year. And sometimes when you just kind of write them in January and you don't revisit them, you may find yourself off task and off focus. So it's like, if I'm writing every single day, I want perfect credit, I want perfect credit, I'm going to have to eventually do something, because I'm constantly reminded, like, what am I doing so I can have perfect credit? You know what I mean? My website address is can'tstayput.com. So I found that writing out my goals every day keeps me focused and keeps me in line, because I'm one of those people where I don't like saying I'm going to do something, or like putting something out there and not doing it, right? And I feel like you have to hold yourself accountable. And I do have accountability partners, but I'm like, if I'm consistently saying that I want to have perfect credit and I'm not doing anything about it, I'm going to have to check myself. Because in a sense, I'm like, you either lazy or you really don't want to have perfect credit. You know what I mean? Somebody said, how do you handle distractions? I try not to, let me see, how do I handle distractions? It's hard. I don't really know if I am easily distracted, lazy. And I think it's something that I have, been able to offset. I think the more important way to kind of approach it is, how do I stay motivated? Because that's a lot. That's more of the question than how do I kind of keep from being distracted. Because for me, I've kind of learned how to keep distractions away from me. So for instance, if there are people that are not focused in terms of their lifestyle, right? And they're cool with watching TV every day and, kind of doing regular things. And there's nothing wrong with watching TV. There's nothing wrong with going out every single weekend. But I'm not living the life. I'm not at a point in my life to where I'm satisfied yet, right? So I can't be on that right now. And there's nothing wrong with the people that are on that. But I know I'm still in the grind mode. I'm still in a certain space to where I don't want to feel bad for working or from strategizing or from planning. And so there are people that I know that are distractions, and I have to kind of like deviate from them. The other thing is, I haven't really watched TV in years, partially because, on my journey, I couldn't afford a TV. Also, couldn't afford cable. And the other thing was, when I was living on people's couches and in guest rooms, I didn't really want to partake in any type of entertainment, because you're opening up your home to me. You know what I mean? So I need to be grinding. So if I'm living in your couch for free and you see me watching TV, you see me going out every day, it's going to be like, you know what I mean? Like this, like, I don't know if I'm really cool with that. So like, honestly, it was like, I'm in grind mode. There's so many people out here who are helping me, who are making sure I have a roof over my head, who are making sure that I have something to eat, that I need to be working. I don't need to be out here going to happy hour. And the thing was, a lot of my friends who I would stay with, they would ask me like, do you want to go out? You don't ever go out. And I'm just like, I feel like there's a time and place to go out. Like, you taking care of me. Like, and essentially, I'm dependent on you. So no, I'm not going to go out with you, because I need to be earning my keep. You need to be seeing that I'm focused. And I think that's one of the reasons why so many of my friends and family did open their homes to me, because they did see how focused I was. It wasn't hard for them to help me, because they knew I was diligently working on following the dream and making something happen, So that I kind of went off on a tangent. But one of the things is, another question was, how do I stay motivated? That can be hard, because, yeah, see, that's the thing. You can't be kicking it. Because it's just like, are you really adamant about this dream that you have? Because no, you know what I mean? And I knew, how do you go about creating new ideas for your business? So let me just like write some of this stuff down, right? Because I want to make sure, new ways, creating ideas for business. Sorry guys, I just want to make sure I don't miss any questions. Thank you. Staying motivated. All right, so I'm gonna answer the staying motivated. Do you read any in books that inspired me? Okay, so let me address the have a supportive man. What is wrong with people on Periscope? I have no idea. People are crazy. So, somebody certified life coach. I am not certified. I have not taken any certifications. I'm in the process of probably getting my certification only because this is something that people really are coming to me for, so, and that's one of the things that I was talking about before in terms of like, I had to start Can't Stay Put and be out here and building the brand to realize like, what do people really want from me? Like, how can I really serve people and kind of monetize this, right? And I realized that being people's life coach is one of those things because I can speak very candidly about this journey, right? So that's something that I'm working on is building out or better yet, scaling out what that life coaching services really looks like, right? But anyway, so how do I stay motivated? There are times where I'm not motivated at all. But I think what happens is, you definitely have to keep people around you that are on this journey, right? Not specifically on your specific journey, but are on the journey they just want more. They're not content. They're committed to creating the life that they want, whatever it is that they want, because they understand the ins and outs of it. So, I always tell people like, yeah, it's okay to have a pity party, but you can't stay there. You can have a couple drinks and then it's time to go. You know what I mean? Like, you can't stay there. It's like, we're all human. We all get down and out and we all kind of go through ruts, but it's like, you can't be too hard on yourself because going through pity parties is just a part of life, but you just can't stay at that party. And I think, my motivation kind of goes in waves. And I think, one of the things about being on this journey is you learn so much about yourself, right? And sometimes I have to realize it's like, okay, when I do get in a position where I'm not motivated, I look inward and I have to realize like, why am I in this space right now? Is there something that has contributed to this space? Have I talked to somebody? Like, have I been around a dream killer? Have I, had a certain experience? Has somebody transferred some type of energy to me? And kind of see if I can keep that from happening. Because one thing that I have noticed is, there have been times where I'll get to the end of my day and I'm in a shitty mood. I'm just not really feeling. I'm just like, and I'll think about all the people that I've talked to that day. And I'm like, you know what? It's their energy because I'm a relatively positive person. That particular person transferred their energy to me. And I'm like, I got to cut them off because when you're out here focused on a dream, you have to be so protective of your mental health and your mental space because it takes a lot to believe in yourself wholeheartedly, especially when you have an idea that many people can't understand. You have to be very protective of your mental health when only you understand your vision and nobody else does. So you have to, protect that. And if there's people that are infiltrating that or who kind of clout that space, you got to cut them off. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad people, but it's like, you know what? I'll get back to you. We can go back and hang out. What did you do for work that you didn't have a good day? What do you do for work that you didn't have a good day? I don't know. I don't understand that question. Sorry. But yeah, protecting your mental health is very important. Because your mind is really the most powerful tool you have. Because whatever you believe can essentially come true. And your thoughts dictate what you do. Your thoughts dictate how you see yourself. Your thoughts dictate so much. So it's like if you got energy that's infiltrating your mind, you got to cut that because you have to remain in a space of can do. You know what I mean? I can do this. Or, you have to be in a space where you always feel that way. You know what I mean? Of course, you're not going to always be happy all the time. You know what I mean? You're not going to always be in a chipper mood. We're human. But I'm pretty sure you can identify people that don't push you to be the best person you can be. I know a lot of people like that, and I love them dearly, but I just can't spend too much time around them. Not while I'm trying to hustle to get to where I'm trying to go. It's like once I get to the point to where I'm like, okay, this is the life that I really wanted to create. Like I don't have to be so hustle and bustle and down to the wire, so I can hang around people who live a different lifestyle. But until that happens, I gotta cut that out because I got things I gotta do. Any other particular questions? Somebody said, how do I come up with new ideas and concepts for things that I want to do with Can't Stay Put? I have brainstorming sessions. And like I said before, I'm very much a visionary person, right? And so one of the most challenging things for me is when you are a visionary, you can see all the dots, but sometimes you have a hard time connecting them. And so I can see, like, I know where I want Can't Stay Put to be 5 to 7 years out. And, you know, of course, I can't tell you guys everything, but please believe, like, the plan is far out in terms of what it is that I'm trying to do with the brand. But sometimes as a visionary, oh, hey, but sometimes as a visionary, it's hard to connect those dots. You see the dots and you see all the puzzle pieces, but it's like, how do I put this puzzle piece together? And like I said, I'm not a systematic operational person, and so I've had to yeah, I won't. So I've had to you know, have other people kind of help me with the operational part and kind of, you know, streamline and kind of figuring things out. Another question somebody asked me, or what are some of the books that inspired me during that time? Definitely The Alchemist. I know you guys have probably heard of The Alchemist, but that's it. That's the book that really just was like, yeah, there's something deeper out there for me and I gotta go after it. And I will honestly say, like, you know, in all honesty, I didn't really experience The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I can't even pronounce his name. Paulo, and his last name is somebody wrote it. Like, I can't spell his name, but yeah, like that. I've probably read that book 2 or 3 times already. And yeah, you know, like, I think my story is a little different. Like, ironically, like, I didn't do a lot of double dutching in terms of, like, am I gonna do this? Am I not gonna do it? Like, am I gonna do it? I'm ready. I'm not. I kind of just did it. You know what I mean? And if you're not in that space, it's definitely okay. Like, you know, I understand the double dutching. Like, I don't know, am I gonna do this? Am I not gonna do this? But I think for me, I was I wanted something else so bad that there was no other emotion stronger than that. You know what I mean? But anyway, any other questions? I look like Solange knows. I do get that all the time. Any other questions, guys? With your business being social media oriented, does negativity impact you, and how do you overcome it? Yes. Because a large part of what I do is having to share my life and my experiences on social media. Social media can also be the main source of depression as well, in terms of, you know, we all know comparing yourself will steal your joy, right? And that's what social media, like, if used right, it can be a very beneficial thing. But it's hard not to compare yourself to other people. But it's like, how do you balance that? It's like, how do you balance the fact that you created this whole life? Like, you need social media. That's a very big facet of what you do. But at the same time, this is also a source of, okay, I have to block somebody. This is also a source of some level of unhappiness. You know what I mean? And what I do is I unfollow people that don't inspire me. I have to block it out, and sometimes I have to even delete social media off my phone. Like, I definitely go through breaks, but you know, it's very I have to work to remind myself that, like I said before, we're all on our own journey, we're on our own path, And there is nothing that anybody can do to take away what is already mine that's destined for me. It's like, I gotta just stay on my shit. You know what I mean? And I tell other people that's like, you gotta stay focused on what you got going on, because you're gonna block your blessings worried about somebody else. You know what I mean? Like, and but you have to practice that. So it's like, I would be lying if I said I've never looked at somebody else and be like, dag, I want that. You know what I mean? Because that's human. But you have to practice, like, keeping focused on what you got going on, and whatever you have to do to keep that focus, you have to do. So for instance, there are a lot of people in the travel space, and I don't necessarily consider myself a travel blogger, like, or anything like that. How do you start to practice on keeping focus? Hold on, let me write that down. Keeping focus. And I don't follow people that do things similar to me. You know what I mean? Like, I know I have my own unique voice and I have my own unique audience, but I don't follow people that do things similar to me. Not necessarily because I don't like them, or I feel like they are, or I feel like, they're bad people, but it's like, I know that they will break my focus. And so once you see things that cause you to feel a certain type of way, you have to delete it from your life. So it's like, the biggest thing I think about growing up and journeying is becoming very self-aware. You know what I mean? And realizing, like, if you feel a certain type of way, if you notice that you're not focused, ask yourself, why am I not focused? What have I done today that's got me off task? What is it? Did I watch TV? Was it something like, what did I do? You know what I mean? Because a lot of us, we like to blame other people, right? But a lot of the onus is on ourselves. Like, how did you contribute to the lack of focus? You know what I mean? And like, how did you play a role in it? Or like, is this particular person making you lose focus? And if they are, then you need to unfollow them, or whatever it is. But I think being self-aware and constantly doing the work to be self-aware and being accountable, exactly, is very critical to living your best life. You know what I mean? Because when you're younger, it's easy to blame other people. It's easy to be like, oh, that person is this, da, da, da. But it's like, okay, well, I'm pretty sure, like, you have to take ownership over your life and really do the work to look inside and really do the work to figure out why you are where you are. Somebody else said, how do you keep focus? Well, I think I kind of explained that a little bit. Any other questions, guys? And just to let you guys know, like, I am going to be on Periscope every day this week at 7 p.m. So feel free to join. You in control, the Most High is in control. That's very true. Do you and be the best you. Exactly. Yes, what is your question? So typically this whole week is going to be about taking a leap of faith. And so, I'm trying to just kind of make myself available, and I'll probably zero in on more specific things up under that. But I just really just want to make myself available for anybody who has questions, or if there's anything in particular that people want to talk about as it relates to taking that leap of faith. So yeah, anybody have any other questions? Like I said, I will be live on Periscope again tomorrow at 7 p.m. every day this week at 7 p.m. So yeah, I think I've been on a long time tonight. And I'm also going to make these Periscope videos available on my website. So if, you really like this session and there's somebody else who could benefit from it, I will be putting these all up at the end of the week. So I think that's it. Oh, thank you so much. I really tell your husband I said thank you. So without further ado, I think I'm going to close out unless there are any last minute questions. Tell all of your friends and family if I can be of any benefit to them. If they're kind of going through this transitional process, kind of share my story, tell them to sign in to Periscope tomorrow to check me out. Um, I'm really happy that I was able to have this session. And like I said before, I really feel like, this is one of the reasons why God put me on earth to share my journey and let my experiences inspire other people. Hence why I am an inspirational explorer. Thank you, everybody. I will be in touch. I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you. All right. Thank you, guys. You too. How do I stop this?